we have implants in various people that are emitting signals, and some are not emitting detectable signals, or I would say, are not emitting detectable signals. Now, you've said that you think that these signals may be a side effect of a power system. So what would the power system be doing? What is it doing? What is it generating power for?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Whitley, and I don't know the answer, but I am concerned about this when let's assume that all this is correct, and I believe it is. I believe that this is extraterrestrial implants, and what purpose are these for? Why are these individuals coming here, apparently, putting implants in people, to include naval intelligence officers, apparently, and American scientists and ordinary citizens? And what are they doing with these devices? It could be mind control in part, as you say. These devices, scalar fields, can do, these things can put out a lot of power. You think, well, it's just a tiny little thing. But they could put out maybe 300, 400 watts of power, scalar fields, and change. You wouldn't know it because they run cool. That's the property of these devices that use this scalar physics, that they don't get hot. For instance, Dr. Thomas Henry Moray once had a unit that put out 50,000 watts. It didn't get hot. The more power you demanded of it, the cooler it ran, because of the fact that it was emitting a negative energy scalar waves to make up for the fact that it was generating positive energy. So it could run cool. You won't know it. Now, this scalar waves, what do they do to human consciousness? And if the extraterrestrial material, and it's emitting those scalar waves, it may be affecting your sense of time, too. So you can have time slippage and
Good Lord. Okay, I'm sorry. We've got a really interesting conversation here today, because he just blew me away. And I'll tell you why. Let me read something, if I may, that I sent to a person who is very interested in time slippage yesterday. I sent her this email. All right. Dear Starfire, I have had 2 time slips recently, one yesterday, one today. This is a couple of days ago now, June the 14th. On June the 13th, I saw an article on the BBC News website, June the 12th, quote, evidence that French plane broke up in the air. Went to click on the link. It was no longer there. And this literally was 1 second to another. This has happened to me before. Then the next morning, I opened the calendar section of the LA Times and saw an ad for the new Woody Allen movie and said to Ann, great, the new Woody Allen movie has opened. And we laughed about Larry David, who was in it, being funny. A second later, I glanced down. The ad was gone. Gone. Now, this happens to me not every day, but certainly once every 2 or 3 months, and twice in a row is fairly unusual. These are time slips.
Oh, yeah.
And so go on now and talk a little bit about this, because I'm absolutely fascinated, of course.
Well, if you're receiving radiation from a piece of material that has the different laws of physics from an older part of the universe, the electromagnetic coupling constant that is involved in the emission of the electromagnetic energy operates on a different time scale. So basically what happens is that it can move you into a kind of a time warp. Your internal clock may be running fast. Something will happen. You'll have very little recollection of what happened. And maybe 2 hours, you'll check a clock somewhere and you'll find 2 or 3 hours have gone by and you don't know where it went to, and you have very little recollection of what happened, because basically you've got a conflict here. It's 2 different laws of physics. The laws of physics of the extraterrestrial material, which is emitting the radiation, and the laws of physics that we have here on the rest of the Earth. It's a little difficult to explain, but basically it has to do with the age of the universe. These extraterrestrials and extraterrestrial material presumably come from an older part of the universe. The laws of physics are a little different there. The electromagnetic coupling constant is weaker, and therefore the time is different. So if you encounter the fields from an electromagnetic device employed by these extraterrestrials, you're moving into your body's moved into their time. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is running on its own time. What seems like maybe a couple hours pass in everybody else's time, and you're in a dream zone, and you come back, and this seems inconsequential, as if nothing happened. Then later you start having recollections of about what did happen during those 2 hours, and it's sometimes hard to recall. But basically, we're talking about these extraterrestrials operating on different time scales. They're material. The laws of physics aren't the same. The isotopic ratios won't be the same because the electromagnetic coupling constant has weakened as in the older parts of the universe, and so that's basically the idea then behind the time slippage associated with the emissions or any UFO encounters, things like that. And, other people can see the whole same event, and they will have no recollection either. They just pass by, or they see it, it registers, but it's like a dream.
Well, I've seen